Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with The Why, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. So today we're gonna relieve some of the just tension and pressure that we can accumulate in the head, in the neck, and in the jaw using a little squishy ball. Now, many of us, for a variety of reasons, have similar balls just at home. So if you have one that is a similar size and has a nice squish to it, that's absolutely something you can use. Now, if you have a little ball that's this size, but it doesn't have any squish to it, it's a little bit firmer, you still can use it, but you're gonna wanna create even more gentleness as you use that firmer ball in these spaces that we're gonna be working with. So I'll kind of cue those reminders for you, but I do want you to just, see what you do have at home, and we'll be working with that. So to start, I'm just gonna pick up that ball. I want you to just, with your fingers, find that space that's gonna be right at the base of your skull, behind your ear. And it's gonna be kind of where your skull begins to meet your neck. And it might feel a little tender to you. And you can feel using your fingers, let's feel for that on both sides, because that's gonna be one point that we're gonna be working with here today with the ball. The next point that we're gonna be working with is right underneath the cheekbone, kind of where your jaw begins to come together underneath your cheek. So take a moment and just feel for that with your hands, with your fingers, just so we can know where we're going when we bring the ball in. So feel for that. Now, it also might be a little tender here. Many of us kind of, with stress, tend to clench the jaw, tend to, have a little grind to the teeth. So the jaw might be a pretty tender space for you. So, just take care as you're feeling into that. Notice what sensation you feel, and we'll work and meet you kind of wherever you're at, depending on how tender that spot is. Now, the third spot is gonna be right at the temple. Now, I want you to feel around. Where kind of do you notice that it feels a little bit tender? So the temple is kind of this little circular space right to the side of the eye. So just feeling along the edges of that space. Now, where does it feel like it's just a little bit more tender than the rest? And just letting your fingers find that spot, noticing it, and we'll come back to it when we have the ball. Now, if you do not have any ball at home, you can just use your fingers and we'll do the best that we can with the fingers. You'll still receive some benefit and it's well worth doing even if you don't have the squishy, even the firm ball. So knowing that those are kind of the 3 points that we're gonna work with, go ahead and grab your ball, and we're gonna place it right in that first spot, which is gonna be behind the ear, right at the base of the skull where it meets the neck. Now, what I'd like you to do is just place a gentle pressure into this spot. Now, we're not digging in. If you feel any kind of discomfort when you press into this spot, ease back. We're not going for kind of strength of depth. We're really just applying a little bit of pressure to break up some of the stuck stress there. So gentleness is always kind of the way to go here. Finding that spot, and we're just going to, keeping that little pressure, we're gonna just move that ball around in little circles. And perhaps reversing those circles. You can also just move that ball back and forth, keeping that same pressure, almost like you're pinning that little spot that we're getting to. And then let's pause that movement, just holding that pressure into the spot, and let's take a deep breath. Letting it go. You can release that ball. Now we're gonna take it to your jaw point. So just finding that space where your top and bottom jaw come together beneath the cheekbone, and we're gonna do that same thing where we're gonna just find that spot apply a very gentle pressure. Now again, if you're using a firm ball, you're gonna wanna be even more gentle because there's no give in the ball. So finding that spot, applying your gentle pressure, and then we'll create those same little circles here. Little circles. Alternatively, you can just sort of move it back and forth. Now pausing with that gentle pressure, we're just going to gently open and close the jaw 5 times. And then holding that gentle pressure here, taking a breath. And you can let that ball go. Let's take that to the temple point. Finding your pressure, finding your spot where it feels just a little tender. And again, using just that gentleness, especially if you have the firm ball, erring on the side of just a very light pressure here. And then we'll take those same little circles. Perhaps just moving it back and forth. And then once again, we'll just hold that gentle pressure here, releasing the movement, but holding that pressure, taking a deep breath, and letting it go. So we're gonna take these 2 spots again, and then we'll take the whole thing to the other side. So let's find that spot behind the ear, finding your gentle pressure, and we'll take those little circles. Hold that pressure, take a breath. And then release that ball. Let's come back to the jaw. Just finding that same spot, find your pressure, and then we'll take those gentle little circles. Pausing those circles, but holding your pressure, and we're gonna open and close the jaw. Hold that pressure in with the ball, take a breath, and release. So take a moment here and just notice the 2 halves of your head and your neck. Just notice how that feels, what the difference might be. And we're gonna take that sequence now to the other side. So finding that same spot, noticing, does this spot feel tender on this side, maybe a little more tender? And so just being gentle, meeting yourself where you're at. So if you need to ease back even more on that pressure, definitely do so. So find that gentle pressure here, and then we're just gonna take those little circles. Hold that pressure in, take a deep breath, and release that ball. We'll take that same thing to your jaw point here. So find your spot, find that gentle pressure, and then we'll create those little circles. It can also just be a little back and forth movement. We're just trying to kind of pin that spot and then create a little bit of motion. Hold that pressure in, you can pause that motion, and we're just gonna open and close the jaw 5 times. And hold that ball in, take a breath, and release the ball. Let's take it to the temple point. Finding that spot for you on this side, holding that little gentle pressure in, and then we'll create that movement here with the ball, either in little circles or just kind of back and forth. Pause that movement, but hold that pressure, take a deep breath. And you can release the ball. Now we'll do these 2 points one more time. So let's find that back of the ear, Let's create that gentle pressure and start those little circles. Hold that pressure. Take a deep breath and release the ball. Last time with the jaw. Find your pressure here. Create those little circles or that little just back and forth movement. Pause your movement, but hold your pressure, and we'll open and close the jaw 5 times. Hold that pressure, take a breath. And you can release that ball. Now to close, we're just going to find a couple little points here, starting right at the inside line of the eye, and we're just gonna trace that down to the neck once, twice, 3 times. We're gonna take that back of the ear point that we got with the ball and trace that down, same, just to the neck, once, twice, 3 times. And then finding that back of the ear point again, and then just tracing that line of the back of the skull, bringing your thumbs together at the back of your head, once, twice, and 3 times. And then always recommended, if you feel like you have any other sort of stuck stress, you can just kind of massage it out of your face, give your head a little massage, just closing this practice with whatever movement feels intuitive and good for you. So I hope you feel a little looser, a little bit less tense in the jaw, the head, and the neck. And I'll see you back here next time on the Wise YouTube channel. Take care.